are. This is performance 21, 22, something like that.
I count the other way. I say 5 left.
Oh, is that
Or
right?
6,
So we're in countdown mode now
Okay.
from all these performances of Carousel. Here we are in Chicago Lyric Opera in the dressing room with Denyce Graves, and I'm so pleased to have my wonderful colleague here, Mr. Tony Roberts, who is, you may know from stage and screen, film work, and we're just so tickled to, and Chicago Lyric is so incredibly fortunate to have nailed him down and this amount of time for this role in our production of Carousel. I love you, as I've expressed and tried to many times.
You want to go
and the
pick
reason
out some
that
furniture?
yeah. And the reason that I love you so much is because your delivery is so natural. I look forward to the graduation scene, and I absolutely feel that is a real and organic moment that's happening, and we're there. In every performance, you deliver it differently. Every single, and I'm always excited to arrive at that moment. Well, I'm excited to arrive at that moment because we're almost near the end.
Yes.
But I'm excited to arrive at that moment because I can't wait to see. I say to myself, how's he going to do it today? What's he going to, like, which words are he going to punch today? What's he going to bring out today?
Well,
And it just feels like I was asked to speak for the next year in 16 at a graduation ceremony. And I said, I think I'm going to use some of the quotes from the character. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, but I so look forward to, because I love everything about you. I love the way you look. I love your face, which I think is so kind. And the way you deliver everything makes everybody feel, it feels as you feel familiar. It's like we know you. And everything that you're saying, it sounds as if you're making it up in that moment. And it's just, for me, it's a real pleasurable moment and a real joy to be next to you and to watch you at work. And
well,
anyway,
thank you
so I just want to, well, I mean that very, very sincerely.
Well, it's the best interview I've ever had so far.
So these are for my students, and I just wanted to, we're in between performances, so that's why I've got my hillbilly hat on.
Mm-hmm.
So we've just finished a matinee, and now we've got about an hour and a half break before the next.
You have an hour and a half. I have about 2.5 hours because I don't come in, of course, until the end of
Is
the play.
Is that good or bad?
I find it very difficult.
Yeah, of course. I would too.
Because, first of all, I enjoy being at work with everybody when it starts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's fun and there's laughs and there's hello to everybody, and you kind of energize each other,
Right,
and you get up for it.
Sure.
And I miss all of that because I don't have to come in until it's been already on for an hour and a half. So when I come in, you guys are already at the break in the middle, and I don't get to talk to anybody. And
gosh,
it's so sad.
I understand that.
But
that's important.
I miss the camaraderie of the
course.
crowd. So that makes it tricky. But other than that, I'm delighted to have done this. My daughter actually is the one who talked me into doing this,
right?
and she's coming tomorrow.
Oh, is that
from
so?
New York, yeah.
Oh,
and,
terrific!
So I'm very nervous to
You're
try
going to be
and do
especially
it.
good.
Well, I'll probably screw it up.
No, no, it's impossible. Is your daughter at all in the business?
She began as an actress and found out how tough that is.
Right.
And she fortunately got into voiceover commercials.
Oh, really?
And she's been very lucky at that. And not that she isn't good at it, she is, but that's where a lot of the money to be made in the business comes from. And that's perhaps the only thing I thought I could contribute in a way is something my father taught me. He was an announcer.
Oh, is that so?
He was a very popular, successful radio announcer in the 1940s when radio was, the thing before television came along.
Sure.
And one of his great bits of advice to me was that I could better direct myself how to read copy and how to narrate and how to speak commercial dialogue by listening to myself, because I would self-correct. And he used to say, take the newspaper every day for 2 weeks and read into a tape recorder, into a microphone, read for 5 minutes, that's all. Just read 5 minutes of cold copy. Just pick up the newspaper, turn to a page and read. And then listen to it back. He said, that's all you have to do. He said, by the end of 2 weeks, you'll be so much better than you were when you started. And you'll be better for the rest of your life from that experience, because you'll hear where your voice drops off too much, where it doesn't have any punch. You'll learn to think to the end of a line, which was something I learned from my acting teacher. If you think to the end of the line,
we say the same in singing.
That's
Yeah. You
sure.
sing all the way through the end of the line, and even past it, in fact.
Well, there you go. I was lucky enough to hear that from my father when I was about 14 or something like that. And it makes a big difference when you hear yourself back, and you realize
so
on the third
wise.
day that you've stopped making the kinds of mistakes you were making on the first day. And on the sixth day, you're even better, because you're thinking through and thinking forward and understanding where you swallowed a word, or where you didn't take enough of a pause, or all the things that are self-correcting that are different for every single person who does it.
Isn't that wonderful? You know, everything has to have quality. You know, one of the moments that I like so much in your graduation speech is when you say, try not to be scared of people not liking you, just you try liking them. And you always voice the M. So I see that. I see that in your work. I always see you go to the end, and I see you enunciate to the end of the line. And I've always enjoyed that.
Well, I'm glad.
And it's conscious then on your part.
Well, it is in a different sense. And I don't think about the enunciation being I think of the idea behind the line. So when I start to say,
behind the
yeah,
line.
so when the line is, don't be scared of people not liking you. Just you try liking them. I know when I start to say, don't be scared about people not liking you, my mind is already on just you think about liking them. So that has the most emphasis, in a sense. That has the forward movement.
Yeah.
It's an unconscious consciousness, but
Right.
most things that are well written, and certainly that speech is well written,
Yeah.
and most plays that get reproduced and revived are well written,
Mm-hmm.
they're intended to have the punch come at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you consciously think about enunciating more at the end or driving it through, if you think it through, it will come out with that intention to the listener, and they'll know they're on a journey going somewhere. It gives it a forward motion.
So that means then that you're always thinking ahead to the next phrase, to the next.
Well, I think that's
Line?
Yeah, I guess so. Julie Andrews once said to me backstage when we were doing Victor Victoria in Chicago before it came into Broadway, and we were here taking it all apart and everything. And she said, "I said, don't you ever get worried that you're not going to remember your lines?" And she said, "Well, I believe in the line fairy." I said, "What is the line fairy?"
Yeah.
And she said, "The line fairy is a little fairy that
Okay.
lands on your forehead with the line exactly when you need it."
Well, I'll tell you something. I understand that, kinda. I understand that. Sometimes I was asked not so long ago, have I ever forgotten the words on stage? I've never, ever forgotten the words.
Right.
Not ever. But I have had moments that just before I come in, I think, oh, wait, what are the words?
Uh-huh.
What are the words?
Sure.
And then, like some kind of crazy magic,
Right.
the line fairy shows up.
That's right.
And
right.
it arrives.
I think it's because of the way you learn it. I think it's the way
I
we
couldn't
learn it.
agree more.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, like, learning music can be painstaking. I don't enjoy the process.
Mhm.
And it's not one of my strengths. So I have to sit down at the piano, and it's painstaking. I have to go note by note, and I don't
Yes.
enjoy that. I much prefer to perform. But because of having to do that kind of work,
Yes.
it sticks in there. I can remember
That's right.
things from all kinds of different productions.
That's right. It's like a map. It has a logic to it.
Yeah.
You know that you go from this step, that goes to that step. And
Yeah.
once you've learned that, it's like finding your way home, in a sense. It's
Yeah.
automatic.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I had a terrible experience a couple of years ago on Broadway as a result of an accident. I had a brain injury.
Oh.
And I was standing backstage before a Sunday matinee and trying to get myself together, and it was early previews, and I said, "Now what's that line? What is it?" And I said, I couldn't think of it, and I said, "Well, it'll be there, it's always been there." And my cue came, and I went on stage in front of a matinee audience, and I said my first line, and the audience laughed. They never laughed there before, and I couldn't understand it. And I said my second line, and they laughed. I still didn't understand it. And the actors on stage were starting to turn to me now as if to say, was there a rehearsal that we missed or something? Are you adding lines? What is this? And what I didn't realize was that I was now speaking a foreign language. I was speaking a non-existent language, but sounded, they tell me, like something like Polish. And someone came out and got me and made me lay down on the floor, and the curtain came down, and they sent the audience home, and the next day it was on the front page of the New York Times. I'd had a seizure on stage. Oh.
You're Tony.
Oh, yeah. And the wonderful thing about doing this particular job is that this is really the first time since that, which was 7 years ago, that I've been on stage to act again. I've done other things, recordings and films and things like that, but this is the first time I've had to, and I was very nervous when I started, wondering, oh my goodness, what if this happens again? And of course I now take an anti-seizure medicine, and it's never happened again, knock wood. But I'm much more reassured now that I can continue to do this to make a living.
Extraordinary.
But that was a horrible moment. And,
of course.
But that was aberrational. That doesn't happen to 99.9% of the people who go and act on a stage, unless you've had a previous accident, as I did, and stopped taking your medicine, which I also did, which was pretty stupid. But I thought it was making me tired. Other people have done that. You know, it makes me tired. I'm not going to take it. So I stopped taking it, and I take it now. You can bet that.
Yeah. I'm going to pause it for 1 second.